All right, so we've just finished watching the video. It's online. For those of you that are taking this course online, we watched the video. It's entitled The Mind-Body Problem. It's a crash course video. You should be able to find that in your module. And what I'd like to do is just one more time to just emphasize the nature of this problem. I've given you a handout. It has several articles on it. You can see the first one is entitled The Hardest Problem in Science. Can Science Explain Consciousness? And then the last one is New Approaches to the Mind-Body Problem. Just to let you know that this is an ongoing discussion. This is one of those problems that just won't quite go away. And I doubt it ever will. I mean, I think what you've got these days is you've got a lot of people that say, oh, this problem's simple. We can just reduce it to the brain. Mind equals brain. That's the easy answer. But there's just too many things that are inexplicable otherwise, even admitted to by those that are honestly reductive physicalists. The first article in this handout, if you're taking the class on video, you should have access to this. I wanted us just to look at it just for a minute to get us started today. It's entitled The Hardest Problem in Science, ? Right? Is it the hardest problem in science? So let's look at that. A nice thing about guest lecturing at another university is that for a change, one is treated as a genuine sage. Fortunately, this doesn't happen too often, or it might seriously undermine that most elusive of all personal assets, genuine modesty. By the way, that is interesting. Like when I go and visit other places and speak, I will oftentimes be treated, I can't, over the top respect. Dr. McDowell, thank you so much for coming. Such a pleasure, benefit to have you. When I'm here, it's like, oh, it's you again. It's just a quirk of, I guess, what you get used to. You don't appreciate necessarily what you have, but others might well. Well, at any rate, he says, in any event, my well-deserved modesty was being challenged one day, not too long ago, when an earnest audience member asked me of all people, what was the most difficult unsolved problem in science? I answered without hesitation, how the brain generates awareness, thought, perceptions, emotions, and so forth, what philosophers call the hard problem of consciousness. It's a hard one indeed, so hard that despite an immense amount of human research attention devoted to neurobiology, and despite great advances in our knowledge, I don't believe we're significantly closer to bridging the gap between that which is physical, anatomical, and electroneurochemical and what is subjectively experienced by all of us, or at least by me. I don't know about you. I vividly remember deciding as a child that I would be the first to solve this mind-body problem and figure out how the brain actually functions. After all, it's the brain that does the thinking and experiencing, so how difficult could it be to ask that brain simply to look at itself and report back to my mind? Sure enough, while lying in bed one night, eyes tightly closed, concentrating intensely, I was treated to a clear image of nerve cells, complete with dendrites, axons, etc., the whole neuronal Megillah doing its thing. Whereupon I realized I was recalling a photograph of brain cells from a biology textbook. Skip on down. To be sure, there are lots of other hard problems, such as the perennial one of reconciling quantum theory with relativity, whether life exists on other planets, how action can occur at a distance, how cells differentiate, and so forth. But in these and many other cases, I can at least envisage possible solutions, even though none of mine actually work. But the hard problem of consciousness is so hard that I can't even imagine what kind of empirical findings would satisfactorily solve it. In fact, I don't even know what kind of discovery would get us to first base, not to mention a home run. Let's say that a particular cerebral nucleus was found existing only in conscious creatures. Would that solve it? Or maybe a specific molecule synthesized only in the heat of subjective mental functioning, increasing in quantity, in proportion as sensations are increasingly vivid, disappearing with unconsciousness and present in diminished quantity from human to hippo to herring to hemlock tree. or maybe a kind of reverberating electrical circuit. I'd be utterly fascinated by any of these findings or any of an immense number of easily imagined alternatives. But satisfied? Not one bit. I write this as an utter and absolute dyed-in-the-wool, scientifically oriented, hard-headed, empirically insistent, atheistically committed materialist, altogether certain that matter and energy rule the world, not mystical abracadabra. But I still can't get any purchase on this hard problem, the very label being a notable understatement. Cogito ergo sum may well be the most famous phrase in Western thought, yet I'm convinced that Descartes' renowned dualism is nonsense, that mind arises from nothing more nor less than the actions of the brain. I'm also nearly as confident that someday we'll understand how. But in the meanwhile, I can't help appreciating Ambrose Bierce's reformulation, cogito, cogito, ergo, cogito sum. I think, therefore I think I am, which Bierce noted might actually be as close to truth as philosophers, at least, have ever gotten. I can hardly wait for scientists to get closer. Now that would give us all something to be deservedly immodest about. Okay, so you can see this problem is a complicated one and has a long history. I was just kind of going over some of the discussion from last time, and I wanted a few things I wanted to bring up that I think are probably maybe helpful in this discussion, just to kind of give you an idea. So one of the questions you've got to deal with in this problem is related to the question of intentionality, right? Unintentional actions versus intentional actions. Now, if you let's say you were up really late last night and you didn't get very much sleep, and you're feeling kind of tired today and sleepy, and so your body is sending you a message that says, I need to sleep, and so you're thinking about sleeping during my lecture today. Or maybe not thinking about it. Maybe it's just kind of, you just can't help it. You're just awake all night, so you're just exhausted. See, that's unintentional. Your body's just sending a signal. Your brain is telling you, oh, I'm tired. I didn't get enough sleep. I've got to get more sleep. Okay, maybe I'll sleep during McDowell's class. Now, that's, I hope, at least, an unintentional thing that happens. But I guess occasionally it might be intentional. But that would be an example of an unintentional action. That's completely understandable. All kinds of things all over the world, living things, have kind of unintentional states. In other words, things just happen because our bodies send messages and signals to us. I'm tired, I'm hungry, I need to go to the restroom. All of these things are a part of our existence, in normal existence among living things, animals of various sorts. But intentional states, that's where the real game is, right? How do I explain when people do things that are beyond what they're programmed to do? So they're normal, we have kind of these normal algorithms where there's things in which we just naturally do them. But there's things that we just have no explanation for. Think about the creation of art. And by art, I mean producing something beautiful just for its own sake. It has no utility or function beyond, I wanted to create something beautiful. That requires intentionality. And what that does is when you begin to realize that human beings are intentional beings, unlike the rest of this kind of living, the rest of living beings have algorithms and programming that causes them to do what they do. They do the same things over and over and over again. Human beings, of course, have certain algorithms that are present within them that cause them to do the same things over and over again, except we don't have to. We choose to do otherwise. We can, we can intentionally do that which is amazing, that which is world-changing. Nature doesn't really change the world. Your dog, your cat, they're nice and everything, but they're not going to change the world. Human beings, through intentional actions, can change the world, honestly, for the better or for the worse. Human beings do things regularly that are not required or expected. So, for example, I have many options available, literally millions of options of things I could have done today. I could have not come today. I could have stayed home and slept in. I could have gotten in the car and driven to the coast. I could have driven to the airport, bought a ticket, and went to the other side of the world. I could have, you start thinking about the many options, and all those options require intentionality on my part, right? You had those same options as well. You acted with intentionality. You're here today in this classroom as a result of certain intentions you have to finish this class, get a passing grade, a transferable grade, and then getting on and get your college degree. See, that's intention. And that's something that's really hard to explain. And when you talk to people who study philosophy of mind, that's where they're spending their time trying to figure that out. Why is it that humans are different in that way? And we've talked about this on a number of different occasions along the way, but this is just a different way of framing this same discussion. And it's also a way of talking about what makes us more valuable, perhaps, than the animals.